The Sacramento Kings, or should I say the reconstructed Chicago Bulls from 3 years ago that were like average to mediocre. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. The Sacramento Kings are in a really weird spot at the moment. They have really good pieces, don't get me wrong. Like DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine are really good basketball players. But we have seen from Chicago a few years ago that it just really doesn't work as a team. And to go from seeing that team and how it ended out to literally trying to reconstruct that team plus Domantas Sabonis and thinking it's going to make any sort of difference, they were sort of kidding themselves. Obviously, it was worth the try, and like when you get Zach LaVine and when you get DeMar DeRozan, you're not going to complain. But you also gave away your franchise star for like a bag of chips and like, I don't know, a couple of $100. It's kind of what it felt like. De'Aaron Fox was in that team for a very long time, and to be completely honest, just like Tyrese Halliburton, I don't think he was going anywhere else if you wouldn't have traded him. Obviously, you know, the writing was on the wall for De'Aaron to find a better situation, and to be honest, I think he has found a better situation in San Antonio. Like, they're an up-and-coming team. His youth and his experience at the same time treats that roster perfectly. And it was the right place for him to go. And I feel like the Kings did themselves an ill favour in the sense that they did what was best for their franchise star, but at the same time they didn't do what was best for them, which was find a decent player to construct the team around. They haven't done that. And Domantas Sabonis, as of recently, has been in the media. There's been stuff going around like, you know, Domantas might ask out if, you know, the team doesn't change. If he doesn't view the team as competitive, he's going to ask to move elsewhere. And I feel like it's really not what you want from your star player, because if he even thinks about that while he's on your team and in that situation, and I know how much Domas probably wants to win. He was on the starting five, that Netflix documentary a couple of years ago, I think it was now. And both him and his wife spoke constantly on how much they want to win, how much, you know, success means to him, and how much do they want to see him succeed. So he's not going to sit away in Sacramento for as long as it takes for them to find him a decent team. Because more than likely, by the time they are even a chance of finding him a decent team, he's going to be at the back end of his career, and he's not going to be the double-double machine that we all know him to be. So it's a really weird spot for the Kings. I don't know where to next. Like, obviously, you could talk all you want about offloading. You can talk all you want about offloading the contracts of DeMar and LaVine and just doing stuff like that and going for a rebuild that way. But they've already done it. They did it to get Domas with the Tyrese trade. Tyrese, we know how good of a basketball player Tyrese is now, and they got rid of him. At least they got something for him this time. De'Aaron Fox was the other half of that backcourt, which I just mentioned earlier, went for quite literally nothing. Malik Monk has been in trade talks with the likes of the Warriors. He was rumoured to be offered up for Jonathan Kuminga, which I will get to when I get to the Warriors video, but I think we are absolute idiots for not taking Malik Monk, because bench scoring would be a massive in for our game. So the fact that we didn't feel it was necessary to take that on the Jonathan Kuminga, who isn't going to play for our team ever again and is giving us constant headaches, I don't know why we don't take, I think it was Malik in a second round pick. I'd take that deal, considering, you know, Jonathan is damaged good at this point, and he is no good to the Warriors. No matter what we do or what we say to him now, he's not going to play at full for our squad. So I think we were stupid to not take that deal. I think Jonathan would have been really good on a Kings roster. Although him in a backcourt, a front court with Domas, who they're both like sort of average 3-point shooters. In today's NBA, there would have been a lot of paint mashing going on. And I don't really know how I feel about paint mashing in 2025. I don't think it'll work too well. Jonathan was obviously improving as a 3-point jump shooter. We started to see the spark sort of towards like in that playoff run towards the end of the regular season last year. But I still don't know if he's to a point where you can trust him in a front court with Domas Sabonis. I don't think that's really how it works. So it would have really been interesting to see, especially with DeMar, with LaVine. Like those guys on a court together might have worked. It might not have worked. Obviously, we're not going to see now because it's not going to happen. The deal is basically null and void at this point. So we're moving on from it. But it would have been interesting to see for both the Warriors and the Kings. I don't know what's next for the Kings. I really don't. It's one of those things where they're too good to go into a rebuild, in my personal opinion. I think they have good enough pieces to be able to construct, a squad in one way, shape, or form. You need a pure point guard, is where I'm going to start. I've spoken this whole video about getting rid of point guards, but, these things happen. You need a pure point guard, like a Chris Paul. Obviously, you didn't get Chris Paul. He's also 40 years old and about to retire. But you need that sort of person. Even if they would have signed like a Tyus Jones, who was in free agency, signed him on like a 1 year, 2 year deal that was worth $3 million or whatever it was. Just something like a mid-level exception for a Tyus Jones. Just a playmaker who can get Zach LaVine in his right spot, who can get DeMar DeRozan in their right spot, which if you give the ball to DeMar DeRozan in the mid-range, it's pretty much a foregone conclusion. But it's just someone who can better space the floor because Zach LaVine running the one isn't going to give you that spacing that you're looking for. So they really need to find themselves a pure point guard and they need to work out their rotation. Keegan Murray has, for the first 2 years of Keegan Murray's career, he looked like he was going to be the one for the Kings. He looked like he was going to be that youthful guy who was going to play defense on one end, shoot the hell out of the ball on the other end. And he was also starting to show signs of him being able to finish around the ring. Within the last 18 months, I have not seen, heard anything, literally anything about Keegan Murray, other than the fact that he's been struggling royally. This whole year, he was just average. I don't know what happened to him, but he regressed. Like that third year, fourth year that you're bumping up into your career, that's when you start to reach like your pure potential. And that's where you start to actually find yourself and get into the rhythm of who you are as a player. Instead, Keegan was one of those rare cases where he went back the other way. I don't know. Hopefully he can come back. Like hopefully he can become who he was beforehand. And he will make the team so much better for that. But I feel like he will not be the entire answer to the situation. Even if he becomes like a borderline all-star, I don't think they have that point guard play in order to actually make some noise as a team. We will see what happens with the Kings. I was looking at the rosters before. Old man Jay Crowder is on the team. Don't know when that happened, but he's there. I love Jay Crowder. Love me some Jay Crowder, number 99s. All of that sort of stuff. Like, I still have a vivid memory of him hitting a winning jump shot for a Grizzlies team that had Ja Morant in it. So that was, a bit of my random knowledge for the day. Anyway, other than that, that's pretty much all I have for the Kings. They haven't really done a whole lot in terms of trading in and out, especially like this offseason. They did a lot of their movements toward the trade deadline last year. It's just going to be a matter of finding their groove and seeing if they can prove everyone wrong. realistically, I see a world where the Kings make the play-in again if their roster doesn't change and maybe make a first round. Potentially, the West is wild at the moment, which is the biggest thing out of, everything. It's a lot easier to say Eastern Conference teams are going to make that jump. As compared to the West are just as good, if not better than last year. So it makes it a lot harder on a lot of teams. But that's about it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Short form content is still going, so get in there. I'm making a ton of it at the moment. Any NBA news and stuff that I would not touch on in a long-term video like this, I'm posting on the TikToks and the shorts, I think YouTube's called. I forget the names of all of them. There's too many. Anyway, that's all going. So if you want to go and check that out, that would be greatly appreciated. If you made it this far in the video, liking, subscribing, that would mean the world to me. I'm firing all this out, so it's, I'm having a lot of fun with it, and I'm going to keep going. So thank you guys so much, and I will see you guys tomorrow with, I don't know who the team is. I'm going to have a look. My fault. Thank you guys.